Welcome back, True Seeker. Gonna take the time questions that were asked. Second week in a row of doing this. If you want to ask a question for next week, please do so in the comments. Last week I was talking about how I hardly ever get sick. I jinxed myself. The day after, I had a woman standing in the line at the grocery store. I don't think she meant to do it on purpose. She was elderly, but she had the cough of death and it went right in my face. And now I have that same cough, but I'm doing all right. Just sound a little off. But let's do it. So Ben asks, hi, do you know anything about the death of J.D. Salinger? He died on January 27th, 2010, right before Super Bowl 44. He was born in Manhattan, which equals 92, and so does Jerome David Salinger. Well, that's interesting observation. We know that 44 has a lot to do with killing. We know about the 27 club. The other thing that stands out about that date right away is 1 plus 27 is 28. The word kill has Gematria 28. 1 plus 27 plus 10 is 38. Fair way to get the date numerology. So this was a date with numerology of 38, death 38, murder 38, killing 38. Also a date with numerology of 58 if you add the plus 20 in as well. So I'm sure there's more to it. Always measure from the birthday to the date of death. Look at their popular works. J.D. Salinger wrote The Catcher in the Rye. But yeah, I mean, just those numbers right there, 38, 44, 27, those are always found around death. So just that alone is incriminating. And again, if you want to do a little more work, measure from the birthday to the date of death. The last birthday, the upcoming birthday. Check what day he published his first book. How many years was it from the publishing of his first book? That'd probably also be interesting to look at. I'm just scrolling through, seeing what looks like questions. Appreciate the comments too, but just looking for the questions. Can you explain the Septa Ner cipher? So if you guys don't know this, if you come to Gematria and you click a cipher, and then you click the word for the cipher, down here it'll say view chart. Do you see this? So I click Septa Ner. If I clicked reverse ordinal, then I would view that, but I want Septa Ner. So click the Septa Ner, then come down here and click view chart, and it shows you, you might have to expand it, but it shows you what each letter is and the corresponding number for the cipher. So the Septa Ner cipher is all about 7. It goes up to 7. It doesn't go higher than 7. And I consider this a complementary cipher. What's interesting is this cipher and the Chaldean cipher, they have a lot of overlap. They're different, but they have a lot of overlap with certain words, which is really fascinating. You can see the Chaldean cipher. It's harder to explain. Not quite the same, but things such as this. So it's like, we know in DC 47 is the number, right? DC 47, government 47, authority 47, you know, president 47, White House 47, even the name Trump is 47. The night of the rig selection, he was in the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel. We know the Freemason compass has 47 degrees, representing the 47th problem of Euclid about how to establish foundation 47. At the top of the compass where the 47-degree angle is, they have the pole star 47. What's cool, though, is Washington, D.C., in the Septa Ner and the Chaldean cipher, also 47. And absolutely not coincidental. Again, all of these ciphers, they share a relationship. And I like to stick to the 4 base ciphers. But it is good to look at the other ciphers. The book that I wrote, it's mostly the 4 base ciphers that I stick to. But in certain parts, I talk about these other ciphers and how the coding with them fits in to the topic at hand. And I especially like to talk about it when they have overlap with these two ciphers. I always find that fascinating. So, Septa Ner is based on 7. Again, click the word and then click the view chart. Then expand your window and you can see. So it counts up to 7, then down, then back up to 7, then down. I got the cough of death this week. You're just going to have to deal with it. What do you think deja vu is? When I get it, I can literally guess in my head what's about to happen, and it does because I feel like I've lived that moment before. You know, deja vu, it's a really interesting thing. The strongest case of deja vu I ever had was when I was 17 years old. I just graduated from high school, and I was traveling from Oregon to North Dakota. That's where a lot of my family lives, for a family reunion. And just along the way, we stopped at this place to eat, and I don't think I'd ever been to that place before in my life. But it was just like everything. I just felt like I'd lived this entire experience before. Just everything about it. The building, the food, the waitress. I just felt like I'd already been through this moment in my life. And yeah, I was weirded out by it. So I know a lot of people have their own deja vu stories, and you know, I don't know, it's mysterious, but it is interesting when it happens. Let's see. Let's see what other questions we got here. So this person says, how do you differentiate Gematria? Oh, well, Truth Seeker, don't say that you stay healthy because you'll jinx yourself like I did. Let's see. How do you differentiate gematrially in the succession of John Smith Sr. One? Okay, so he's saying you have all these names. What do you do? Well, you just put in the name with the actual abbreviation. And a lot of times you'll see, like, let's look at this Mueller guy, for example, with the FBI. What's his name? I'm pretty sure he's one of these guys that has a... Yeah, he's the third. Robert Swan Mueller the third. Check this guy out. This guy was sworn in as the director of the FBI September 4th, 7 days before 9/11. Date written 4/9. Twin Towers equals 49. 49th governor of New York approved the project. Anyway, this guy's name, I don't think it's any coincidence in light of him being sworn in right before the World Trade Centers. Notice in reduction, it's 104. That's an important number to the Twin Towers. Twin Towers, 104. Jerusalem, 104. The reason Jerusalem matters is because that's the location of Solomon's temple and Herod's temple. And it's Tisha B'Av to remember the destruction of the two temples. Tisha B'Av equals 911 in Jewish Gematria. They built the new One World Trade Center 104 stories tall, and they made it 1,776 feet tall. And if you add 7 plus 4 plus 17 plus 76, it equals 104. The date of establishment for this country, they made the new One World Trade Center, again, 104 stories tall, 1,776 feet tall. Again, this knowledge of letters and numbers, Kabbalah, goes back to Babylon. The story is that the Knights Templar acquired this knowledge in Jerusalem and brought it back to the Catholic Church after the Crusades. So, you know, Robert Swan Mueller, 104, right before the Twin Towers, 104, and also 49, sworn in September 4th, 4/9, you know. You couldn't convince me that that's a coincidence in light of what we know about the history of this nation and all the different things going on. But I'd also add, I mean, you can always look at the name without it too, just to compare. And this is also interesting. Robert Swan Mueller, 77, right? I mean, that was the big number on September 11th. September 11th, 77. World Trade Center, 77. Flight 77 hit the 77-foot tall Pentagon on the 77th meridian in Washington, D.C., exactly 77 minutes after taking off. Pentagon construction also began once upon a time, September 11th, 1941. So, you know, you can look at it with the first, the second, the third, and also you can look at it without. The more thorough your decode, the better. This guy says, can you do Richie Valens? He's one of the people that died the day the music died. You know, Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, and what's his name? J.P. Big Bopper Richardson. 3 famous musicians. They went down in the plane crash in Iowa. I remember that they left Mason City Airport. That was the airport they flew out of. They crashed February 3rd. Show you this here. If you write out February 3rd, has interesting numbers. These reverse reduction additional ciphers, where you do the exceptions for the, 11, the 22, and also the 19. Just like, if you're new here, you're probably like, what am I talking about? There's exceptions for the 11th letter, the 19th letter, the 22nd letter, and the reduction methods. Taught about that before. It's interesting that February 3rd has this gematria of 97 with the exception. This is where E is counted as 22. E becomes the 22nd letter when the alphabet's in reverse. The reason that's funny is because plane crash equals 97. So does death. And these men died in a plane crash on February 3rd, the day the music died. You see? And February 3rd, that's also the 34th day of the year, murder 34. So I definitely don't think it's a coincidence that these musicians died on this date in a plane crash, especially after flying out of Mason City, Mason City. And speaking of which, the day the music died. Notice the 96. Let me get rid of the exceptions. Sometimes it's easier to look at with less things up here. But just notice, the day the music died, 84. Masonry equals 84. 96. Freemason equals 96. 303 is a lot like 33. They left Mason City. Crash moments later. I'm hard to get a laugh out of, by the way, I used to laugh easier, that's for sure. Ben's got a good memory. I did say that. How and when did you discover Gematria? Well, I discovered Gematria in 2013, and the way I discovered it was by finally coming across what I needed to find. From the day of September 11th on, I was looking for the definitive proof to help people see that 9/11 was carried out by the government. It was not an accident, that it happened on 9/11, that we were being mocked. And, I tried a whole lot of things to wake people up before I found Gematria. And I did wake up a lot of people along the way. But when I found this Gematria thing, and the way I found it was just by, just searching. And then one day I came across this word and I said, oh, by the way, part of also what I was looking at when I found Gematria is I did a search looking for greater meaning to numbers, because I understood that the media like to use numbers in stories, such as a national emergency on 911. And when I was looking for this greater meaning to numbers, that's when I found the word gematria. And once I learned about gematria and sort of how it worked, I just began applying it. And all I knew when I started, the only methods I knew about were these two right here. This is what I did. And there wasn't a nice calculator like this. I used to do everything by hand. If you followed my videos in the beginning, I did everything on a whiteboard, and I would just do it in real time. And, you know, things, I was just, when I started, I just began decoding words and just like making a list and looking for matches and seeing if there was synchronicities. And just from the beginning, I saw things like people was 33, person was 33, society was 33. I knew we had 33 vertebrae in our back. Just things like that. I just started documenting. I said, that doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. And when I first began, I also took the time to decode all 50 of the U.S. states. And I documented then that there were only 3 states that summed to 33. And now that we know the reverse, it turns out there's 4, because there's 1 in reverse as well, but there's only 3 in reduction. The first state, Delaware, is 33, which was also established on a date with 33 numerology. The 6th state, Massachusetts, and think about how 33 in numerology is 3 plus 3 is 6. And then the only other one is Hawaii, the 50th and final state. And when I first made these discoveries and shared them with my friends, the first place I ever shared was on Facebook. I just say, do you guys think it's coincidental that out of the 50 states, only 3 sum to 33, and it's the first and last and 6th? And I wish my Facebook, I could go back and show you what people wrote to me, because people thought I was insane. They're like, Zach, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. Letters, numbers, it's just coincidence. I'd say, really? You think it's just coincidence? And then I'd show them. I'd say, well, there's this thing, Gematria. It's practiced in Hebrew, and there's this author out here, this book, Faith Giovanni, so somebody's talking about this. But, yeah, everybody thought I was insane when I began sharing this, except for one girl who I hadn't talked to in forever, but who kept in communication through me through Facebook. We used to have a crush on each other in elementary school. She was like the only one that was halfway open to this. But that's how I found it, you know, just looking for information until I finally came across this word and then put it to the test. And I put it to the test with the pen and paper. That's how I started. Let's see. How do you investigate truth? Do you look at both sides before reaching a conclusion? Yeah, I mean, don't you see the way I present things? I mean, I'm usually pretty well thought out in my explanation. You always have to look at all sides of the issue. And anyway, it's very clear what's going on in this country. You know, I speak from a certain point of view, but have you guys seen me be wrong about anything? I mean, you know, now I'm just exposing the agenda. It's just such an obvious agenda. But yeah, you always got to look at both sides of an issue. Such as this flat earth crap. You know, I've let these flat earth people entertain me with their pathetic videos, and they're just a joke. And if I was a dumber person, I might not be able to see how stupid flat earth theory is. But thankfully, I'm blessed. So, you know, just to use flat earth, for example, I gave the flat earth people their time, and all of their information is just complete garbage for morons. And so anyway, I always do take the time to look at both sides of an issue. Unfortunately, we live in a world where most people are too dumb to decipher what's correct, even when both things are put before them. And we see that with the flat earth theory. I mean, all of these people that are fooled by this psyop are very dumb people. Flat earth appeals to very low functioning people. Let's see. What else? This person writes, you sure do get a lot of car accidents. I've only been in 2 car accidents, so not really. I am actually not 33 years old anymore. I turned 34 this past summer, so. This person writes, hey Zach, what methods would you recommend for remembering the alphabet forwards and backwards numerically. So look, all you want to do to learn the methods is you just want to learn it one way. You just want to learn the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, all the way up to Z is 26. That's all you want to memorize. You don't want to confuse yourself trying to learn it backwards and forwards. Just learn it that way. And if you want to learn it that way, the best way to do it is with a pen and paper. And if you write something out, if you write A equals 1, B equals 2, maybe you don't need to write out the first ones because you remember. But when you write something out, it helps cement it in your mind. And I'll tell you what, when I decoded the 50 states, and I did it all by hand, I had all of the ciphers memorized. Well, there was only 2, ordinal and reduction, but just from doing it both ways with my hand, I had it, just from doing all 50 states, I had it memorized after that. But look, if you just memorize the ordinal value, if you know, if somebody says, what letter's Q, and you just know on command, Q's 17. What letter's T? T is 20. You know, what letter's O? O is 15. If you know on command what those are, you can figure out every other method just based off knowing that letter. So if I know that O is the 15th letter, using the alphabetic order, which it is, then I can quickly find out what O is in reverse by using this formula. 27 minus the ordinal placement. So O is 15 with the alphabetic order forwards. 27 minus 15 is 12. It's that way for every letter. Think about it. Z is the 26th letter, but in reverse, Z is 1. So the formula is 27 minus 26, Z is 1. J is the 10th letter. In reverse, that means J is 17. Let me put up these other ciphers here. So, like I said, O's 15. 15 from 27 is 12. You know, Q's 17, so in reverse it's going to be 10. 27 minus 17 is 10, you see? And then, for our reduction methods, it's just the rules of numerology. So, let's take away ciphers. Let's just go back to the originals. Reduction, gematria is just the rules of numerology. You want to get each letter to a single digit. So, 17 is 1 plus 7 is 8. You know, R is the 18th letter, so 1 plus 8 is going to be 9. S is the 19th letter. 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. Z is 26. 2 plus 6 is 8. Now think about it. If you know the ordinal, you can figure out what the reverse reduction is too. So before we put up here, let's just think about it. Let's say that we wanted to find the reverse reduction of T, and we know that T is 20. 27 minus 20 is 7. Okay, that automatically takes us to a single digit, but let's do it this way. Q. Q is the 17th letter, so we know in reverse it's 27 minus 17 is 10. So that means in reverse reduction it's going to be 10 is 1 plus 0 is 1. So let's pull out our reverse reduction and see if we're right. Yeah, we are. So you just learn the ordinal, then you just have to do the simple math steps, you know, to know the other values. So just focus on learning A to Z and memorizing which letter's which. J's 10. That's another thing I recommend. Remember that J is 10 and T is 20. Because you can probably count quickly from your head if you forget. What comes after T? Q, R, S, T, U. Oh, U's 21. You know what I mean? J's 10. Oh, K's 11. L's 12. M's 13. So, memorize the ordinal, you'll be able to do the rest. Have you read We the Scythians? I have not. Huh, says it uses Gematria. Huh. Well, I have to add that to the list. We the Scythians. Never heard of it. This person writes, I've wondered why no one has done UFC in Gematria. I think that's what they're going for. Well, I have, man. I've done a lot of UFC, actually. Done a lot of UFC. This person writes, I have a question. Do you believe that the past created the future and the future created the past? And could you please give me a shout out via my initials JLR? Well, I do think that the past definitely has an impact on the future as well as the present. Has the future impacted the past? That I don't know, you know. As far as I know, time travel is not real, but the past is definitely having an influence on the future. And again, the current moment. So, was there more? They said they believe in reincarnation. Well, that makes two of us. Reincarnation makes sense to me. Do you have anything else on this? Wentz equals 50, Pittsburgh equals 50. James P. Bradley equals 50. Oh, the doctor who performed the surgery, of course. Well, Super Bowl's also got the 50 connection. America's got the 50 connection. No, but that's a good observation that the doctor who performed the surgery fits in. Let's see. Zach, can you list your favorite books for researching and exposing the Talmud? Well, I don't know many books that do it, but I mean, the internet, you can get a lot of information on the Talmud that's on the web, so I would use the web to research the Talmud. Someone told me that Gematria, numerology, and tarot is a pseudoscience. Your thoughts? Well, even if they are, the powers that shouldn't be are absolutely using them. And honestly, I mean, it seems that there actually is something greater to this knowledge, as I've documented. I just put out the video on, you know, my relationship with my parents and the organic numbers. So you know, I think that there's some definite meaning here. And I hate this terminology anyway. I mean, like people use that to dismiss things. How about let's look at our actual legitimate science and our medical field, which is just all based in bullshit and lies and dishonesty. We just live in a corrupt world, you know, and truth is buried and people are slave to lies. I mean, most people don't question their doctor. I don't go to the doctor because I know that the doctor's full of shit and the doctor doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. The doctor doesn't think diet has to do with human health for the most part. Most doctors just think, you know, eat whatever's on the food pyramid, you know, don't eat too much junk food, and if you get sick, take some pills. And that's bullshit, you know. And case in point, I was a teenager when I changed my diet, and my brother-in-law is a doctor, and I was a vegan back then, and he used to call it the fag diet. And what's funny is he's now on the fag diet because he's had all these health problems. He's been eating vegan for about 3 years now, and he's a lot healthier. So, and he didn't get that knowledge from within the industry, you know. He got some alternative advice for his health problems because he kept having to have surgery and all these problems. So, you know, I think this term should be thrown out. Most science that we operate on is bunk. This person says, you're already an old man. Well, when I was younger, I thought 34 was old too. But for you youngins, enjoy your youth because you'll be my age before you know it. Why is the yonder always referred to as wild and blue? I don't even know. I don't know. So anyway, less questions this week. That's good for me because I need to stop talking anyway and go drink some tea. Because I super jinx myself. Yeah, I almost never get sick, but sure enough, I had to get sick right after I talked about that. So we'll leave it there, Truth Seeker. Until next time.